Welcome back to Apatros Review. In this episode, Peplum Double, Hercules against the Moonmen, actual title Maciste and the Queen of Samar, and Anthar the Invincible, also known as the Devil of the Desert against the Son of Hercules, both from the year 1964, and both are Italian Peplum films. Now, this is like the second episode I'm doing of the Italian Peplum films. I did one a few episodes ago with Queen of the Amazons, and this one will be the only one last one I'm going to do the Peplum until I get the Italian Hercules in the future, but that won't be likely. Anyway, both these films are available in various cheap public domain DVD releases around the world. My review copy of both films comes from a multi-pack issued by Palace Entertainment. Now, for Hercules against the Moonmen, actual title Maciste and the Queen of Samar. It's not a Hercules film really, it's a Maciste film. I'll explain more later. Anyway, as for the story. A massive rock that originated from the moon has landed in Mount Samar in ancient Greece, causing an army of 3-meter tall giant stone creatures to appear, led by an ancient robot named Rudolphus, who wants to harvest the blood of humans to allow his humanoid queen, Selena, to rejuvenate fully. To help him in this plan, he strings along the local Queen Samara to provide him with the blood of the subjects that he needs so much. The plan goes along smoothly until Samara's advisor, Gladius, acting for his beleaguered people, sends for the mythical hero Maciste, or for us English language speakers, let's rename him Hercules, even though he certainly ain't Hercules, to come over and help the citizens of Samara kick some stone man ass. Now, the quasi-historical mythical strongman fantasy genre known as the Peplum was Italy's first great indigenous genre, and lasted from 1958, having been brought about by the Steve Reeves feature Hercules, all the way to around 1964, when the Peplum effectively ran its course and ideas for potential Peplum pretty much dried up. For this particular film, which is actually called Maciste and the Queen of Samar, but commonly told in the English-speaking world as Hercules against the Moonmen, we get Maciste. Maciste was an Italian superhero, a temporarily ambiguous, immortal being that was effectively a cross between Hercules and Doctor who first appeared in the Silent Era, but was later revived in the Peplum Era, with just as many film appearances there as those from this original Silent Era he came from. He decides to help the long-suffering people of Samar overthrow the evil queen, and turn the army of 3-meter-tall rock soldiers into slabs of marble to fit the finest-looking Italian marble kitchens. Although even then, you don't need to be super strong to beat these guys. All you need is just place your finger in the right spot and tip these jokers over. Luckily for us mortals, stone men from the moon are not subject to any degree of personal rights charter from the UN, so you can harvest all the stone men you want. I wouldn't mind having lunar stone men harvest of my kitchen if I ever need to remodel it. Jokes aside, Maciste and the Queen Samar, or Hercules against the Moonmen, whichever title you prefer, is a really dull and stupid film, often not bad enough to be considered terrible. The story is pretty much a strange blend of Italian peplum, and by the way, the word peplum means tunic in Italian, and your average alien invader film from a decade before, something you don't normally see in this particular genre. The stone men are led by an ancient robot, or at least that's what you would assume the metal-faced Rodolphus to be, or we can see the actor's mouth moving under the mask. And the local conniving queen. What is it with these Peplum films always have evil queens doing evil shit? Feminists and World will hate these films with a passion. The rest of us will be laughing our heads off. Maciste, or Hercules, gets caught up in several traps like being stuck in a pit filled with water. Not suspenseful since all you need to do is wait for the water to completely fill the pit and then just float up and out of it. Be a good swimmer. Or endless squads of cannon fodder troops to be tossed around like bowling pins in the slave-powered Spike's jaws of death. Again, not suspenseful given Maciste's strength. In the climax, which involves Maciste and his female helper Agar, see, I knew John Agar had Greek roots in his ancestry, struggling to cross a wind-blown desert for several minutes. It starts off being boring as hell in the genesis for a classic MST3K episode, but gets better when Maciste takes on the might of the walking bowling pins and turns them into fodder for the local quarry. The fight scenes when they appear are pretty standard and rather tawdry, and the visual effects, excepting the stuntmen's costumes, consist only of colored lights and styrofoam props for Alan Steele to use. As for Alan Steele himself, his real name is Sergio Ciani, his performance is blocky as the actors playing alien rock bongo heads, and there's really no reason for anybody other than a bad movie cult to see this one. I give this one a D, which is a 2 out of 10. Now for the gore report. A little blood, a pretty reasonable time-lapse decomposition, and plenty of people being tossed around. No nudity in this. Now for the second film, Anthar the Invincible, aka Devil of the Desert against the Son of Hercules, aka the Slave Merchants. This was by the way, Hercules against the Moonmen was directed by Giacomo Gentiloma. This one, Anthar the Invincible, was directed by Antonio Margheriti, 1964. Now I have quite a few Antonio Margheriti films in my collection I'll review in the future. Most of them are just public domain. Anyway, now, Anthar the Invincible, which actually premiered in Italy on the 27th of June 1964. This stars Kirk Morris as Anthar and French actress Michelle Girardin as Princess Raya. This is also available in public domain. Now, the evil slave trader warlord Ganor, nicknamed the Devil of the Desert for his nasty ways, takes over a Middle Eastern kingdom with his mercenaries, assassinating the Sultan and imprisoning his children. But Princess Soraya manages to escape by jumping out a window into the nearby river. Close to death, she is rescued by a pair of peasants, the heroic muscle man Anthar and his sidekick, the mute boy Emu. Nursed back to health by the pair, Soraya is then kidnapped by a local slave trader and sold. Anthar and Emu must then rescue her and join up with a local resistance group led by Prince Dacor, Soraya's brother, to stage an assault on the kingdom to defeat Ganor and his mercenaries and restore justice to the kingdom. Now, the year 1964 was essentially the last gasp of the Peplum, with dozens of such films coming out in that year, and most of those were sold to American company Avco Embassy, which turned it into a syndicated television series called Sons of Hercules, as the alternate title for this film. As for Anthar the Invincible, this was a standard but surprisingly enjoyable Peplum flick. There's strictly no frills in the plotting department. There are no monsters, only a quest by a pair of peasants who must join forces with a princess to restore freedom to her kingdom. So like a Peplum version of Star Wars. Before that film came out a good 13 years after the end of the Peplum, so it's clear where George Lucas was busy cribbing his ideas from. By defeating an evil warlord. Not just any standard evil warlord, but one with the nickname the Devil of the Desert. Well, any self-respecting despot would literally kill to get a choice handle like that. Again, I must have killed quite a few people to earn that handle. Anyway, the film is a modestly entertaining example of the late period Peplum, with plenty of reasonably spirited action scenes, and some decent ideas. While Forgan's maze of mirrors was really out of place, literally out of time, the technology required to develop flat mirrors and silvering was at least 1,000 years away from being invented, so Gannon must have had some time travel to help him out that one. He did also have a rhino in his arsenal, which is really inventive considering the crazy monsters that did appear in the genre. There was even one film with a manatee with an overdubbed raw sound effect. It uses a makeshift sea monster in the Peplum Hercules, Samson, and Ulysses from the year before. It's still pretty spectacular when seen here. Oh, by the way, they used the dummy head of the rhino for close-ups of the hero. As for the hero, Kirk Morris, who appeared in quite a few of these during that period, makes his best impression here and does quite good few good fights and flexes those muscles well. Paired up to him is French actress Michelle Girardin, who was a reasonably high-profile actress during the 1960s, which makes her appearance in the lowly Peplum such as this a little head-scratching. Before she would sadly end her own life a decade later in her mid-30s. While she does her role okay, there is strangely never any sort of romantic relationship between her and Morris, so the final hero's kiss at the end of the film is pretty arbitrarily forced. Director Antonio Margheriti, who pretty much invented the Italian sci-fi genre with a string of cheesy space operas during the early 1960s, and I'll review two of them in the future, does a pretty decent job here with some mildly rousing moments. Of course, Margheriti also did some other more notable work in places like Crime Capers and most infamously the urban cannibal film Cannibal Apocalypse, before ending his career in the late 1980s and early 1990s with Alien from the Deep and Lethal Weapon knockoffs Virtual Weapon. The result is a modestly entertaining film, in terms of verdict, a passable one, that manages to give a reasonable time waster for fans of Italian Peplum. And here's something you don't notice every day. Guess who was assistant director on Anthar the Invincible? None other than Ruggero Deodato, the badass who made films like Raiders of Atlantis and Cannibal Holocaust. Yeah, he cut his teeth on this film, and apparently he didn't like Peplum films. Anyway, there's no gore in this film, but there's some blood scene, no nudity either. I give Anthar the Invincible a C+, 5 out of 10. Passable Peplum flick that was one of the best of the last wave Peplum that closed in 1964. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that double feature Peplum review. I'll keep on doing film reviews like every 2 days for the next couple of weeks, so keep watching. Oh, and if you want to, I don't do requests, but if you want to know if I have a particular film, just drop me a line in the comments section, and I'll get back to you on it. I hope you're enjoying your coronavirus lockdown, and that's it for this review.